Gottlieb. Hi, Dr. Dan.
Roseanne, you got my name right.
I know.
I almost missed.
I know. I almost missed it today. I'm a little tongue-tied. Dr. Dan, I'd like to talk about dying. And I know that that's not a subject that a lot of people are comfortable with. But as you and I have spoken about, there are definitely lessons to be learned in having people who are close to you who are dying. You talk to people who have been through a serious illness, and it kind of changes the way they view their lives going forward, even if they don't die, but they come close to it. So I know you've also written about it in some of your books.
Yeah, and I'm giving a talk. I gave a talk at Lankenau Hospital on this, and I'm giving one at Drexel University. And what can we learn from experiencing death close up? And anybody who's watching, who's experienced the loss of a loved one, or even a professional caregiver who's experienced the loss of a patient or client, we learn something about life from people who are dying. We learn from them what's most important in life. I wrote in my most recent book, Wisdom We're Born With, about a man who worked so hard all of his career, and he drove himself to provide more, to do more, to be more. And as his life was ending, and I was at his house with him the last week or two, and his family was there with him from all over the country, like families are these days. He said he was scared of dying. And I said, you know, we talked about what he was scared of, and it was the unknown. And I said, are you sad about dying? And he said he was so sad. And I said, what is it about this life that you're sad about leaving? And he said, love. He said, the love of my family and my love for them. And he stopped for a minute and he said, that's what I've always wanted. That's what I've always wanted. And I didn't know it. And I knew I loved my family and they loved me. But I never knew that was the most important thing.
So in dying, he actually received a gift.
Yes.
That he realized right before what was important.
I brought his whole family into the room.
Wow.
And it was 2 adult children and his wife. And we went around the room talking about why they loved this man and how they loved him and what they would lose when he was gone and what they wanted to say to him before he left. And he got to say what he wanted to say to them before he left. You can imagine the tears.
Sure.
But you can imagine the hugs at the end of that meeting.
And I would imagine that each one of them probably didn't know really what they meant to the other person for their whole lives.
Doesn't get talked about.
No, because we don't take time to do it.
And you could say that to everyone you love every day.
Right, but it has different meaning when you know you're at the end.
You know, you say the words, Roseanne, see you later.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
Right.
We don't know. See you later could turn into goodbye. And I've got to tell you, that's how I feel at the end of every session. Whenever I see someone turn and they're back towards me, I imagine the possibility. And I don't believe there are many people in my life who I need to say anything to that I haven't said already.
But don't you think that's because of what you've been through? You've been close to death 5 times now?
Yeah.
So you live your life as though you're dying because you know what it is to almost be there.
Honey, not as though I'm dying. I got very bad news for you.
I know we're all dying.
Sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right, but what I'm
sorry
saying,
if you weren't aware of it.
but you've had that the near death
I
experience.
can't pretend.
Okay.
I can't pretend.
Just to go back on what you were saying about the gentleman, that to him the most important thing was love, to love his family and be loved by his family. I would imagine for everybody, it's something different.
Slightly. I mean, love is what drives the ship. Love is what this is all about. I had a woman on my show. Oh God.
And we'll say it's your radio show, Voices in the Family, on WHYY on Mondays at noon Eastern Standard Time. There, I just plugged you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So she was dying. She was stage 4 breast cancer. And she and I got very close. And I called her just spontaneously on an early spring day. It was late March, early April. And some of her friends got her to the beach in Ocean City. They carried her on the beach, put her on a chair, and sat her down. Brought all 5 of her kids down there. And she sat on the beach in a coat, watching her kids play, and that's what I called her.
Wow.
And I said, "How are you?" And I could almost see the smile. She said, "You know, Dan, this is the best day of my whole life."
That says it all.
Yes, it does. That's what we learn from the dying.
Well, thank you. That was
Thank you.
great stories.
Thank you.